the wide open spaces in Botswana to the tight and technical terrain in Mpumalanga. Welcome to the Nkomazi 450 in Malalan, round 4 of the Donaldson Cross Country Championship.
Residents were treated to a vehicle parade to kickstart the weekend's proceedings before the competitors and the spectators made their way to the designated service park situated at the Riverview Preparatory School on the outskirts of the town.
As the main sponsor, Malalan Toyota went all out once again to make the event one of the most memorable of the season.
I think it's a community project. The school and all the landowners and Malalan Toyota put a lot of effort in. So and we try to have the best event again this year.
Leroy Poulter and Rob Howie are still a team to catch following round 3.
You know, I've got to keep the championship in mind, but obviously Anthony's there. He's going to give us a hard time. This race last year, we were very close in the prologue, so I'm sure it will be the same.
In the production vehicle standings, defending champs Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy trail their teammates by just 14 points, while Gary Bertholt and Siegfried Rousseau and Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable are tied for 3rd.
We welcome a 4th international team to the competition.
It's the Neil Woolridge built Ford Ranger, which Manfred Schroeder won the Mui River 450 last year, and I bought it after that and took it back to Australia, did the Australian safari in that, and now with that event not happening this year, decided to come back and compete over here. And Manfred Schroeder, he said he would come into service for me, so everything fell into place, and really keen to come and enjoy myself and have a good time.
The very popular DJ Fresh from 5FM is next to take part in the Imperial Auto Celebrity Challenge at the Nkomazi 450.
I remember when I was about 8, 9, 10 years old, the Trans-Kalahari Road race used to happen in Bots. And I used to see all these cars come into town, and I was like, one day. Today is that day.
Before qualifying gets underway, teams chose their starting order, and Dennis Murphy explains why they opted to be first on the road.
You know, this place is, I wouldn't say easy, but most of the tracks are on a double spur track, so should be not too difficult to find the road, but yeah.
We'll have to wait and see if the decision pays off for the defending champions as they attempt to close the gap to their Castrol Team Toyota teammates, and hopefully they will be able to repeat the same success they had in 2014.
It's definitely going to be a tough job for them to complete, as Poulter and Howie are in the form of their lives. The championship leaders set a blistering pace to qualify first, 1 minute and 32 seconds ahead of Taylor and Murphy.
Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable bounced back after their disappointing desert race last time out to qualify in 3rd.
Rookie Gareth Woolridge was impressive once again, and he finished 4th fastest, only 4 seconds behind brother Lance, while Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst in the 2nd Ford Performance Ranger qualified in 5th place.
German competitors Jürgen and Max Schroeder are further evidence of the high status the Donaldson Series has in international cross-country racing. The duo qualified in 6th, ahead of fellow international competitors Romelo Branco and Jar Seridio, who were fastest in Class S.
Diervelt and Etienne Nienaber qualified close behind the Portuguese pair and were loving the route, unlike the Australians, who were having a few teething problems. Brake problems saw them ease off until the finish line.
Hometown heroes Johan and Vanna Horn made sure that they were very cautious through the technical rocky sections on the mountain route in their Malalan Toyota Hilux. The only problem they incurred was a flat tyre, which saw them lose a few minutes to their rivals.
The extremely rocky route was keeping the competitors on their toes, and Jason Venter and Vince van Alleman also fell victim to a puncture during qualifying. The pair eventually found a place to pull over to change the flat tyre before heading back on their way. The 4x4 Megawool Toyota rounded off the top 10.
As we look at the qualifying results, the question is, will anyone be able to stop Poulter and Howie from claiming their 5th win of the season? Further down the field, the Horn brothers will have to fight their way back from 9th place.
The Special Vehicle Championship is starting to look like a two-horse race. Evan Hutchison and Dani Stassen and Lance Trethui and Jeff Minnett are the only two teams that can boast 100% finish records this season, which sees them at the top of the standings.
We're going to go race as hard as we can. Obviously, we're going to try for the win for today and tomorrow. And then from there, we just got to manage it and we go from there.
The Motorite Bat Viper of Hutchison and Stassen lead the way by a comfortable 27-point margin. Mark Corbett and John Moore lying third behind Trethui and Minnett and are a massive 62 points behind the frontrunners.
Colin Matthews and Rodney Burke were the first of the special vehicles out at the start of qualifying in their Century Racing CR3. The championship leaders Hutchison and Stassen picked up where they left off in Botswana and qualified in first place, even though they weren't happy with their performance.
The tight and technical route might not have been ideal for the Cobalt Strike of Jimmy Zahos and Zahir Bodhanya, but they still managed the second quickest time.
Samuel van Biljon and Philip Hasselman enjoyed one of their best qualifying positions of the season, finishing in third place.
Even after 3 punctures, Colin Matthews and Rodney Burke were 4th fastest in the Century Racing CR3.
A steady pace paid off for Kitsia and Sandra Labuskachny, who encountered few problems along the route in the Chem Systems Porter.
Consistency have kept John Thompson and Maurice Matten in the hunt for top honours in Class P, but faulty brakes slowed their progress.
After ending up in a dead end, Corbett and Moore lost power to the starter motor and Joan had to push start the Century Racing CR5.
Hutchison and Stassen lead the field ahead of Zahos at Bodhanya. Unfortunately, it was a terrible day for Trethui and Minnett after puncture, V-belt issues and sticking throttle demoted them to a mass start.
With the 100-kilometre qualifying race completed, teams had the chance to double and triple-check their vehicles before the next day's challenge of 2 grueling 175-kilometre loops. The event is the second of 3 sprint races in the championship this season.
It's very tight for two-wheel drive, so up and down, a lot of loose rocks and sand, and very interesting. I think tomorrow is going to be a very long day and dusty. But we did well, so we're quite happy. Second place is good for us.
After they were unable to collect any points in the desert race last time out, Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable will be hoping to pour the pressure on the Toyotas.
It was a very, very tight and technical, tricky track, but I really enjoyed it. And then 10 k's from the end, we got a puncture. Decided to drive it to the end on the puncture. 2 k's from the end though, it started disintegrating and smashed up the car a bit. But other than that, we had a good run. My brother's 4 seconds behind me, so it'll be nice for us tomorrow to go try catch the Toyotas.
Punctures from the rocky terrain seems to be the only major headache for most of the teams. Luckily, the crews will be hard at work into the night, ensuring that their vehicles head out on race day with the best possible chance of fighting for the victory.
A beautiful Mpumalanga morning greeted the competitors on day 2 of the Nkomazi 450.
10 minutes to go before the start of the race, so the nerves are there. But we're happy with our result from yesterday. We've got a few buckies between us and the guy behind us, and a long loop ahead of us, but I think there's a lot of dust in those mountains, and I think we're going to have to keep your head and just try and get that first loop out the way without any problem.
You're leading the championship and we're the first car on the road, and you obviously got to try and find the things first and see if you can get through them as quick as possible.
A ceremonial start at Malalan Toyota, the main sponsor of the event, got proceedings underway before the teams lined up for the official start at the Riverview Preparatory School.
Taking a look at the starting order, Polton Howie will lead the production field ahead of Taylor and Murphy and Woolridge and Huxtable, while Hutchison and Stassen start in top spot in the specials ahead of Zahos and Bodhanya.
The flag is raised and away they go, wasting very little time. The championship leaders are going to be extremely hard to beat in their Team Castrol Toyota Hilux. As always, the spectators in Malalan have come out in their thousands to show their support for the competitors.
Having finished every race of the season on the podium so far, the defending champions won't go down without a fight and keep applying the pressure up front.
Well, speaking of pressure, Gareth Woolridge and Boyd Dreyer are hot on the heels of Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable, but they might start finding the going tough when the teams enter the dry and dusty sections.
We go on board the Ford Performance Range of Woolridge and Huxtable as they make their way through this narrow gully. Unfortunately, the duo hit a rock and reported a broken wishbone, ending their race.
Woolridge and Dreyer came to an abrupt halt after Gareth narrowly misjudged this tight turn under the highway.
Visser and Badenhorst are eager to make amends after a disappointing season so far, and the Ford Performance Ranger soon comes across their stranded teammates. And after asking if they are able to help in any way, Huxtable gives them the all clear, and the pair are quickly back on track. But not much later, a small lapse in concentration from Visser sees the second Ford Performance vehicle forced to retire from the race.
Well, it just goes to show how quickly your fortunes can change in cross-country racing. Hutchison and Stassen still lead the special vehicle category in the Motorride Bat Viper, but as we go on board with the duo, they are starting to slow. And now the engine has completely died. Does this spell disaster for the championship leaders?
Just as Jürgen and Max Schroeder overtake the stranded vehicle, the Motorride Bat Viper roars back into life again. But is this the end of the problem?
The Schroeders in their Regent Racing Nissan Navara have made up 2 positions thanks to the retirement of the 2 Ford Performance Rangers and are now going in search of a podium finish.
Following 3 non-finishes in a row, Zahos and Bodjania will be hoping to keep their noses clean and collect some much-needed points.
After starting from 9th place after a challenging qualifying, the 2014 championship runners-up are blazing their way through the field. The hometown favourites will be using every little ounce of knowledge of the Mullerland terrain to get themselves back to the sharp end of the field.
The dust isn't slowing down. The Atlas Copco Bat Spec 5 of Van Biljon and Hasselman, who are relishing in the tough conditions.
Dierwald and Etienne Nienaber have lost 1 position to the Horn brothers and are now in 9th place in the production vehicle category.
They are followed by another Toyota Hilux. It's Venter and Van Alleman from 4x4 Mega World rounding off the top 10.
Sean Rates and Rian Hreiling in the Regent Racing Nissan Navara are being kept honest by Matthews and Burke, who are in hot pursuit, although the dust is making it extremely difficult to get close and overtake.
On board the Century Racing CR3, and you can witness just how tricky it is to see through the hanging dust clouds that have been thrown up by the other competitors. Matthews and Burke finally get close to Rates and Hreiling, who sportingly move over for the quicker special vehicle.
Henny de Klerk and Johan Smallberger are looking to build on their Botswana performance, which saw them bag their first points of the season.
It's been a baptism of fire for debuting Australians John Pershouse and Murray Haynes, who are still coming to grips with conditions here in South Africa.
A typically solid display from Kutsia Labuskaghni and daughter Sandra are keeping them in the hunt for a podium position, while the Aussies finally get back on their way in a cloud of dust. Or do they? The duo's Ford Ranger is coming to a stop. Unfortunately, a broken prop shaft forces them to retire.
The Imperial Auto Celebrity Challenge provides the opportunity for personalities from the sport and entertainment industry to experience the excitement and the adventure cross-country racing has to offer. Botswana-born DJ Fresh said he was loving every minute in the Regent Racing Nissan Navara.
Poulter and Howie still lead the field, but it's the Schroeders who have moved up into 3rd place following the retirement of Woolridge and Dreyer in the NWM Ford Ranger, while the Horns have fought their way up into 4th.
Hutchison and Stassen have finally been forced to retire following an electrical fault which moves Zahos and Bodhania into 1st place, ahead of Matthews and Burke and Van Biljon and Hasselman.
Well, it's been a faultless day so far for the championship leaders in their Castrol Team Toyota Hilux, who are dominating the Malalan terrain and the competition so far.
Taylor and Murphy were slightly slower than their teammates through the forest section of the loop, but they are still in the hunt for first place.
The tight and tricky conditions in Malalan are much harder for the special vehicles to handle. Zahos and Bodhanya in their two-wheel drive Cobalt Striker are having a few problems with traction across the loose gravel.
There are many spectator points along the route, and as you can see, the fans have had to park down the road to get a part of the action.
Well, the Schroders are having their best drive of the season so far as they cruise through this deep water under the highway bridge.
In what is turning out to be the drive of the day, Johan and Van der Horn have battled their way up the field into 4th place after starting in 9th position.
It's also turning out to be a great day behind the wheel for Venter and Van Alleman in their 4x4 Mega World Toyota.
And while you might think that water this deep is simply too difficult to get through, the Regent Racing Nissan Navara Brights and Kralin make it look easy.
Well, there's no doubt that if Matthews and Burke can manage a clean run, the Class A brigade will be under fire from their smaller Class P Century Racing CR3. But unfortunately, the pair are pulling over. Is this the end of their race?
Popular radio personality DJ Fresh, alongside his driver Terence Marsh, is putting together a stellar performance, and the pair are in the top 10. A broken lower back left shock has ended Matthews and Burke's race, which moves Van Biljon and Hasselman into 2nd place in the specials.
After missing the last 2 races, Luke Buerter is back in the driver's seat and back to make the fans scream for more.
They weren't kidding about just how dusty the conditions are out there. It must be extremely difficult to navigate and drive along the route. On board with Corbett and Moore in the Century Racing CR5, and the pair are slowing down. And they've now decided to pull over and stop. One will have to jump out the car to assess the damage.
Bronco and Zorodio are more at home in the technical surroundings after they endured a very tough Botswana race.
Trithui and Minute haven't given up just yet and are still on course to score some valuable points.
Poulter and Howie are the first team to arrive at the designated service park for the compulsory 20-minute stop after the opening loop.
Sounds like you stretched that out. Yeah, good run, just a lot of rocks. You got to be very careful. And then very slippery in a lot of places. So yeah, you got to take it easy.
There's plenty of support for the local Horn brothers from Malalan Toyota, and the duo are stringing together a brilliant drive for their fans.
I think we had some luck on our side also. Unfortunate for the Fords. I see they problems around the loop. So yeah, the dust is a big issue. We were sitting behind I think there's a striker, and we just couldn't, the dust just hangs there. So we lost a lot of time there.
Recapping your results following Loop 1, Poulter and Howie lead the way ahead of teammates Taylor and Murphy, while the Schroders and the Horns are locked in a battle for the final podium position.
Jimmy Zahos and Zahir Bodhanya are the first special vehicle to arrive at the DSP.
We've lost power, started missing at about 110 k's to go. Most difficult ride of my life, trying to keep momentum and trying to keep the speed in the corners. Then I've got power, then I don't have power, then I'm sideways. Then it's been, we're doing it, so try to fix it and carry on.
The Atlas Copco Bat Spec 5 of Van Biljon and Hasselman is next to arrive.
It's very tricky for this route, for this car. A lot of marbles, so we have to take it very cautiously. We were out of the car twice, once thinking we had a puncture, but we have a loose shock we see. The second time we had a puncture, but none of the other space frames passed us in the process, so we're actually quite happy with our position.
In the special vehicle results, Trithui and Minute are the big winners after the opening loop and now find themselves in 3rd place after they started from back of the field.
With the second loop underway, you have to ask yourself, will anyone be able to match the outright pace that Poulter and Howie have been showing all season long?
They might have lost a little time to their teammates, but you can be sure that Taylor and Murphy will be up for the challenge and the battle for first place.
It will be the best finish for the Schroders in the championship if they can hold on to third place. The Regent Racing Nissan Navara gets airborne through this section of the track.
The German duo will have to keep up that blistering pace because the Malalan Toyota of Johan and Van der Horn are closing in as we speak.
Zahos and Bodhania were unable to fix the misfire on their Cobalt Striker, but it doesn't seem to be slowing them down one bit.
According to Jason Fenter, your concentration has to be at 100% the entire race, or else you'll end up making a small mistake that could cost you dearly.
Now, he might be out of his comfort zone, but DJ Fresh has been impressing Terence Marsh with some brilliant navigation along the demanding route.
Van Biljon and Hasselman are reporting power steering problems. Can they hold on to second place?
Rates and Greyling are having their best run of the season, while it's been a perfect comeback from Buerta and Vermeulen, even though their vehicle looks a little worse for wear.
On board the Regent Racing Nissan Navara, Luke is really fighting the wheel to keep the car on track, but it doesn't look good. And he hangs his head in despair.
We'll have to see just how much trouble Buerta and Vermeulen are in. Meanwhile, their teammates Johan van Staden and Mike Lawrenson are still going strong.
In the RFS Treasury 1 BMW X3 of de Klerk and Smallberger, they approached the earlier accident site. The race is unfortunately over for Buerta and Vermeulen. What a shame for the duo as they were leading the Class S cruise.
De Klerk and Smallberger are now approaching the stranded Ford Ranger of Woolwich and Huxtable. But what's this? There's an abandoned Castrol Toyota Hilux. It's Taylor and Murphy. Disaster has struck for the defending champions.
Corbett and Moore have moved up into third place in the specials and will be pushing as hard as possible to hold on to the final podium position, while the Chem Systems Porter of Kutsia and Sandro Labuskakni occupy fourth spot, which will be their best result in 2015 should they finish.
Bronco and Zeradio are literally flying over this jump.
John Thompson and Maurice Matten are first in Class P, and after the retirement of Matthews and Burke, the Zarko Magnum could inherit the championship lead at the end of the race.
After such an incredible fight back from Trethui and Minute, the pair has dropped back into sixth place as the tricky route takes its toll on the LTE Bat Venom.
With the race nearing its end, Polt and Howie are still unstoppable at the top of the standings ahead of the Schroders, while the Horns occupy the final step on the podium.
Zahos and Bodhania are on course towards their maiden cross-country victory, ahead of Van Biljon and Hasselman, while Corbett and Moore are in third.
Polt and Howie are not waiting around for anyone, and even though the course was tight and technical, it still had sections where the competitors could open the throttle.
The Schroders have taken some damage to the right front light. Let's hope that they can keep it all together until the finish line and stay ahead of the chasing Malalan Toyota Hilux.
Jimmy Zahos admitted he enjoyed the flat open races more, but this time he was relishing in the Malalan conditions. He's driving the Cobalt Strike on the absolute limit.
Venter and Van Alleman will be tied for third in the championship if they manage to hold on to fourth place.
The Regent Racing Nissan Navara of Wrights and Greyling going flat out before they have to slow down in time to make the corner. The duo have made up one position after overtaking teammates Terence Marsh and DJ Fresh, who surely wouldn't have to put up too much of a fight.
Regent Racing is looking at taking home some fantastic results as Van Staden and Lawrenson make it 3 Nissan Navaras in a row.
After suffering 2 flats in the opening loop, de Klerk and Smallberger are having much better luck the second time round in the RFS Treasury 1 BMW X3.
Power steering problems on the Atlas Copco Bat Spec 5 has seen a few production vehicles get past Van Biljon and Hasselman, and now Corbett and Moore is the next vehicle in line. Will the Century Racing CR5 steal second place?
Speaking of Corbett and Moore, the duo are suddenly stopping. What could the problem be? It's a back right puncture, but luckily for them, the special vehicles come equipped with a hydraulic jack. And before Juan is even out the door, the car is already prepared for the tyre challenge.
Well, the duo is down to their final spare wheel, and will they be able to catch Van Biljon and Hasselman?
One team that no one is able to catch at the moment is Leroy Polt and Rob Howie, who take the checkered flag in their 4th win of the season. That means only one thing, it's time for the champagne.
we had a good day, a good weekend, and obviously for the championship, this is the result we needed.
I think we did a good race. Max didn't make any mistakes, so we brought it home without any technical issues. The car was nice, and we didn't make any mistakes. That was what we got this place for.
Confirmation of the results, Poulter and Howie cruised to victory ahead of the Schroders, who enjoyed their best results in the Donaldson Series. Johan and Werner Horn staged a sterling comeback to finish in third.
Jimmy Zahos and Zahir Bodhania crossed the finish line in top spot to secure their maiden Donaldson cross-country race victory.
We're ecstatic about the win. We've been looking behind our backs the whole day. We had issues with the misfire in the motor, and we've been rubbernecking the whole time. So, hey, is anyone coming? Is they coming? And, we're blessed. We got it to the finish. Very happy.
A delighted Zahos and Bodhania enjoyed their first win ahead of Van Biljon and Herselman, while Corbett and Moore rounded off the top three. Trethewey and Minute finally made it home in sixth to close the gap at the top of the championship.
Following his sixth place finish, DJ Fresh now leads the Imperial Auto Celebrity Challenge ahead of John Smith and Marius Roberts.
Well done,
All other sports have breaks. You play a game or 2 games or 3 games, you take a break. Even in soccer, 45 minutes, you take a break, whatever else. You're stuck in there, you're going. You have to just suck it up. I put on my big boy underwear and I just, It's an endurance sport, it's not just fun and games, kids.
Some wise words from DJ Fresh.
Don't miss the penultimate round of the Donaldson Cross Country Championship as we head to Freiburg for our third and final endurance race of the season.
The Donaldson Filtration Systems, a market leader in filtration solutions for the past 100 years.